We'll be going over IR spectra. This is an IR machine, and we're also going to talk about NMR, in particular carbon NMR. IR stands for infrared spectroscopy. It's located on the electromagnetic spectrum, and it's used for identifying functional groups. This is an image of the electromagnetic spectrum to show you the relative strength of IR in terms of wavelength and frequency. The higher the wavelength, the weaker. The shorter the wavelength, the stronger. The shorter the frequency, also the stronger. And the longer the frequency, the weaker. So IR is even weaker than visible light. We're going to go through this together. 1700, that is going to be important for carbonyl. All right, and it's going to be sharp. 3300, you want to know, it's going to give you your OH. It's going to be broad. All right, and tips to remember, you want to maybe multiply 17 times 2. The reason why you want to memorize these 2 is because they're very important, because they're very distinct. All right, and the rest you're going to be given as well. You're going to be given this, but the rest you can just check. But if you want to go really fast on your exam, you can memorize them as I did, connecting my knowledge of history dates with these bonds. So coast to coast, there's a guy that discovered that the earth wasn't flat by going from one side of the globe to another side. So I put coast to coast and then the date. My date was a little bit off, but the idea is to be ballpark. In this slide, I'll talk about the OH. This is the OH. It's broad, and you can compare it to other ones we'll see later, that the 1700 is the very middle and is very sharp, all right? This is the 1700. We know this because we can see the number, obviously, but it's also very sharp. So those are the 3 important things to know, 4 important things. Broad, 3300 I didn't mention, I apologize. And then sharp at the very middle for the carbonyl carbon. This question is pretty straightforward. It's asking you which arrow indicates the functional group with the largest value. And that part should be what? This is 1500, right? And that's 3300 and it's broad. And this one is 1700 and it's sharp. So what number is the biggest? The answer should be blue, right? You don't even have to worry about the second part. But if you care to know, how many times would you get a 1715 signal? Let's say we learned 1700, but the exact value is that, or that's the wrong value, but it's the closest one to all the answer choices, right? You would have to say what? 1, carbonyl, 2, 3, 4, 5. So don't get too caught up in the fact that these carbonyls have different appendages, basically, making this one an amide or this one a carboxylic acid. Focus more on the fact that they have a carbonyl for the question being asked. Alcohols, or how many 3300s you have, you would say 1. Look for this one. This is the obvious one. But also, you can argue this one if you added a proton, right? Because it's a carboxylic acid right here. So that's just something to keep in mind. And this, by the way, if you are into biochemistry, it's an enzyme called lactate dehydrogenase, important in muscle function.